back, everybody. And today we have my good friend Rania. Welcome.
Thank you
For being here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Just hope my babies don't wake up and ruin the day.
They can join the conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with just a little introduction to who you are.
So my name is RANIA Khalil. I was born and raised in the United Arab Emirates.
Mm-hmm.
And I've basically lived there my whole life. We've lived in a very small city of Fujairah, which everyone knew everybody. We were in a small school, and I grew in this very small community.
Mm-hmm.
And then I graduated and went to university, which was a bit of a culture shock. There was 1,500 students. Shocking.
Just where did you study? Where did you go to university?
I went to the American University of Sharjah. I studied business administration and majored in marketing and management. And I think that was the first time I encountered nationality. Because back in school, we did not have something called nationality. We were just friends. And even the Arabic-speaking students, we were never allowed to speak Arabic to each other. We only were allowed to speak English. And then I went to the university, and then they had the Egyptian club, the Sudanese club, the Indian club. And I'm like, okay, why do I need to join the Egyptian club? I mean, if I want to do the Indian dance, why can't I just join the Indian club? But it was really, and that was the first time I felt that, oh, I'm categorized. So, okay, so I tagged along and I joined, of course, the Egyptian club. It was very different for me because, people are like, oh, yeah, so where are you from? From Egypt. Oh, but he's from this place in Egypt. And to me, I've never seen people as nationality. I saw them as people, but I really don't look to the person as their nationality.
Right.
To me, the person is the person, it's the quality. But since I joined university, I realized I have a major identity crisis.
Due to this whole concept or kind of obsession that people have with nationality as a means of categorizing people?
Yes. So I felt, so I realized, I'm Egyptian. So, then I need to be also patriotic and nationalistic and Aishi Biladi or Biladi, and But then it was during that time, I joined university very young. I was 16. And it was at that time that when I used to go to Egypt, I realized, okay, but this is the country that I should feel I belong to. And the people there are the one who, would use racist comments, and I was bullied on the streets. I would be called the black girl, El Bint Soda, or I would be called a twig because I was tall and thin. And or I would be called the Afro head because I had curly hair.
And in Egypt.
In Egypt.
Okay, so back home.
Back home, and to me, this was a shocking thing because I just actually realized I was Egyptian and this was home, and then I would go home and be so humiliated. Or they would ask, or I'd be on the street and they'd say, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm Egyptian. Can't you hear me speak?" "Oh, which part of Egypt?" I'm like, "From the south." "Ah, that's why you're dark."
Oh wow.
Yeah. But are you fully Egyptian? Is any of your family from Ethiopia or Sudan? Not that I know of. I can get a DNA test if you want, but I don't know. I still remember a friend of mine getting engaged, and she's like, "Oh, my friend's, my fiance's best friend is a really nice guy. I should introduce you to him," and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Yeah, cool. Why not?" And then she's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I've spoken to him," and he's like, "Yeah, you're too dark."
Directly saying those words.
Yeah, and then you realize that, should I hate my skin color? And I don't know if you remember, if you've been to Egypt during that time, but there was a lot of commercial on a cream called Fair and Lovely.
Right.
And Fair and Lovely, the commercial they used was so sneaky. So for instance, so this girl would be sitting all lonely and gloomy, and she's a dark girl. And then her friend was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" "Oh, I'm not married. Here, use this cream for 6 weeks." And then, they would show that she gets fairer. Or like, "Oh, I have 6 weeks until my graduation and I don't want to attend it. Oh, use this cream." And I bought the cream. I was like, yes.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is, and almost kind of like using that as an insult, or like saying it like
Yes,
it's a bad thing. It's,
yes. But that's the thing, Amira. And if you hear the speech about it, when people talk about dark people, they're like, yes, she's dark, but she's nice. And she comes from a good family.
oh my
She's
God.
very, and she's educated. But yeah, but she's dark. Yeah,
Because when do you hear that? Oh, she's nice, she's white, but she's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So honestly speaking, I think I struggled with this a bit, and I was very conscious about it. I would feel if there's a guy I like or he doesn't like me back, I would always attribute it. Oh, it's probably because I'm too dark.
well, because that's basically people putting those thoughts in your head and making you kind of doubt your self-worth because of
Yes,
people's ignorance. And this
yes,
is ignorance. There is nothing else that it
totally.
can be pinpointed to. Like
Oh,
it's
totally. Or if you go to the beach and they were like, "Hey, why didn't you sit under the umbrella?" You, yeah. I'm like, "Why? I'm enjoying the sun." Oh, but you don't need to get darker. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
okay. So I want to go back to our childhood. So to give you guys a little background, Rania and I have been friends since the age of 5, because that's when we both started school. So we did go to a private British school in Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, Fujairah Private Academy. And I've heard so many people say, and I understand it, they say, please don't say sentences like, we never see color, we never see the differences. No, it's true, it's clear. It's
Yeah.
clear that we don't share the same color. But honestly, when we were kids, was it ever an issue? Was it ever like a topic that came up?
No, but again, I think, Amira, we were brought up in a very protective environment, and sometimes actually I think because we were brought up in this protective environment, I mean, I speak for myself. When I grew up and encountered stuff that happens in the real world, you're like, oh my God, stuff like this even happened, because we were really, and I my daughter Zaina, she was still in daycare, so she was around 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband is European. He's half Dutch, half Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, he dropped her, and then I went to pick her up in the afternoon. And apparently, there was a replacement teacher. She was dark. So Zaina told her, my father is white, I'm yellow, and my mom's brown, and you're brown too. So
Okay.
she didn't get the part that my mom's brown and you're brown too, but she got very offended.
Okay.
So anyway, so I came to pick her up, and I'm like, "Oh, are you new here?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a replacement teacher." But she was surprised when she saw me, and she was like, "Yeah, I need to speak to you about something that Zaina said today. She said this and this, and you're brown, and my mom's brown too." I'm like, "Ta-da! Yes, I am." And I was shocked. Why did she say something like this? And is this part of? I mean, yeah. I mean, at an age of 3.5, you say this is like a racism in the making. And
Mm-hmm.
I got so upset, and I was thinking, okay, how am I going to handle it? So we were driving home, and I stopped and I emailed her teacher. I said, like, okay, let me see how I should handle this, and why is she mentioning this? So the teacher directly called me back.
Okay.
And she said, no, 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 no. There is nothing wrong. It's just that yesterday we were teaching them in school, like blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin. And we told her that she's yellow or olive. Why?
Okay.
Why would you teach them something like that? Yeah, it's just about that people come with different color and races. And yeah, but at such a young age, why? They don't see it. She even didn't realize. She did not realize that her father was white and mama was brown and I'm yellow. That's what they call her. She's yellow. So my daughter's yellow. So why? And
Well,
I was really, really upset. And that stayed in her mind for a few months. Okay, so what color is grandpa then? And I'm like, no, 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 no. We're not going to say this, Zena. We're not going to categorize people. Everybody is the same. We are all maybe different in how we look, but we are all equal. There's no one better than anyone. Anyone's dark, light, yellow, blue, green. We don't see color because everyone's equal. And we were at the supermarket, and at the cashier there was an albino, and I could see Zena staring. She was really, really observing. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no, please, God, please, please. And then after we left, she said, Mama, we're all equal, right? I'm like, yes, we're all equal. No, but like I said, I think society triggers these things, and then it's up to parents to then to explain it to their kids and put them in place and explain why. I mean, if they ask questions, of course you need to give them answers, but yeah, some things don't need to be emphasized. This is it, we're all equal. And we move on. And I told her, look, Papa married Mama, and Mama's like this. Your best friend, her mother doesn't wear a scarf. I wear a scarf. It does not matter. We don't. We see beyond that.
No, it's true. It is so often the case that it is other people's views that are kind of pushed onto us that make us question everything we've believed in. But it's true, back then, I mean, I think also it was a different time. I mean, we're talking like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. But again, I think Emirates in general, there's a lot of tolerance. And sometimes I honestly think there's a lot of tolerance even, I mean, of course, there is some racism in certain European countries against certain religion or certain color and so on. But I think in general, racism, in I'm not saying like, okay, not discrimination, but racism in the UAE is people really tolerate each other more.
So this concept of racism in the Arab world, it's something that is not maybe talked about as much as it should be. Why do you think that is?
I'm saying it in a most politically correct way. Arabs in general, yeah, it's like a family, you know. If there's something going on in a family, we don't talk about it. We don't tell anyone. If someone is sick in the family, we make sure, oh, it's closed. If somebody's getting a divorce, oh, you don't talk about it, you don't tell you. And this is in a bigger picture. So we can always put, oh, have you heard about the neighbor? But we don't talk about ourselves. And this is in a similar situation. We manage to talk our way out of it and don't label it as racism. We can it's just criticism. Oh, it's just, yeah, but this nationality, they're always like this. I'm not, it's not racism, but it's just in general. And they try to talk it down. So for instance, they would say like, oh, because this nationality is lazy, and this nationality, oh, they're very smart. Oh, this nationality, they're super clean. Oh, but not that, you know. And it's like, this is racism. Yeah, and it's not saying your opinion.
No.
Yeah, this is unfortunately the Arab world. We always tend to look at others and never do self-reflection. And if you do, and if you point a finger and you say, oh, because you're like this, defense mode directly comes out. We have a saying in Arabic that's, yeah, let me try to translate it, that a mother would swear on her own son, but she would kill whoever says amen to it. So I'm the only one who's allowed to criticize, but anyone else can never say amen to that.
Yeah. No, sure. No, absolutely. And that's why I want to make it clear that obviously talking about a topic like this, we are talking about it because it is important, because the things that we are talking about now, they are not okay. And it's in no way like us saying, oh, we turn our backs on the Arab culture, we don't like our roots, nothing like that. No. I will always be a proud half Arab, and
yeah,
it's just things that, I mean,
need to change.
2020, yeah, it's the year 2020. Things need to change.
I mean, I remember when I got when my husband proposed to me, and my dad said something really strange, and to me it was like, whoa. He said, Rania, I want you to choose what you want to do. I want you to be happy. I want you to think about the difference in culture that you might encounter. You know, you both come from completely different cultures, nationalities, and so on. But then, Amira, this all did not strike me. What really struck me, he said, and as of the people, don't worry. I will face people's criticism. And I was like, what? You will face? And then, you know, I just did not think about it, and I moved on. And then like a few years later, I asked him, I'm like, what did you mean by this? He's like, yeah, what do you think? Do you think I did not face a lot of criticism and people unwelcomed opinions and about how and why and how dare you, and you just let your daughter go like this with a European. He said, I heard stuff that I didn't definitely did not want to hear, and definitely was like, it's none of your damn business. But he's like, yeah, people in the Arab world have a feeling that they have a say and they can say stuff like that, and yeah.
Like you say, a family where I
Yeah.
have the right to say what I want to say about whoever. And it's like always, what do I, when I do something, the idea of what will other people think, or what will they say about the things that I'm doing, or the things that they can see.
I love living in the Middle East. I love the culture, the hospitality of the people. I miss my family, but I would go back there for a holiday. But I think I've managed to, and of course here the culture is of course different from my culture here. But what I love about here is no one, or okay, let's also not generalize, but mainly no one cares. I'm the only veiled woman in I think definitely on our street, but I'm not. Yeah, but I mean, I randomly see people around, and I know this was one of your questions. If I face racism here in the Netherlands, no, not that I am aware of.
Okay.
But that could be because of one thing, Amira. I came here. I just moved from one of our branches to the head office, so I never had to look for a job. So I was in an organization when I moved here. I still work for them. I moved from our office in Fujairah. I moved here. So to them, yeah, coming as a veiled woman, they expected it if you're moving from the UAE office. And then they got to learn. First, they were, of course, very interested. So where are you from? And blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't know. In the office, I've never, ever, ever felt that I was discriminated against. I have neighbors who are completely different. They come from completely different backgrounds. Our neighbor next door, they're a lovely lesbian couple with 2 kids. We get along. I think what the stuff they do to us and help us is more than you would have family. We've removed our fence between our gardens. Our kids play together. We have the trampoline, they have the pool, and yeah, and a lot of people from the outside, they actually comment on this. They're like, yeah, you guys are so different. And of course, they look at me and they're like, but you're okay with this? I'm like, I don't care. I generally don't. You look at the person to their heart, not to what they do, not to who they are.
That's something to be applauded. That's how it should be. That's it's I don't know why it seems to be in human nature just to judge and to criticize and to hate on what's different or what people don't understand. And at the end,
but I think the human mentality, in order for you to make peace with something, in our mind, we always have to judge. And not only to judge, but I need to place you in a box.
That's
so,
true.
you know,
Absolutely.
yeah. So who are, yeah. So, okay. So are you going to be placed in the, I don't know, in the immigrant box who doesn't really know much, or of course, yeah, here in the Netherlands, if you're the expat, of course, you're put in a different box, or and so on. Here we have mainly public schools. So if only the private schools are actually international schools, so this is where the expats would send their kids, and it's an English school. But for the rest, it's all public schools. And what I love about public schools here in the Netherlands is, again, the school we went to, it was a very small school, but it was also an exclusive school. So also like you had parents with high-ranking jobs were allowed to send their kids to that school.
Yeah.
But here in like Zena's class, you have, and this is what I love, you have from all different classes, from a CEO to a doctor to an accountant to a bus driver to, and I love, and because this is the real world.
These comments that you have gotten, these clearly racist comments, has it always been like that you answer, or to their face you don't know what to say, because it is a shocking thing to be faced with, and then you kind of think afterwards what you could have said? Or have you?
I struggled with this for a long time. Yes.
Okay.
And again, it's you know how our parents also taught us that, yeah, you even if someone is bad to you, you don't be rude back. And no, I think it was, but maybe it was after I graduated from university. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna treat people because I'm nice, and no, If somebody's not nice to me, I'm not going to be nice to them. No, I'm not going to be the pushover. And I think only then I started to learn how to answer back and speak back. And I see it also with Zaina, and maybe it's genes, but Zaina also, I need to push her to speak back. And I tell her, and Zaina is, bless her, but she is much of a pleaser. I think I told you this the other day. So this kids did not want to play with her, and she was upset. And I'm like, that's fine if they don't want to play with you. So we went out for a walk, and I was telling her, it's fine. People are going to like you, and people are not going to. And you don't need to let the people who don't like you need to like you. And she was like, yeah. And then she walked and she picked flowers. She wanted to give them the flowers. I'm like, no, you won't give them those flowers. Yeah, but mom, I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, but you did nothing wrong. You don't need to please them.
But if somebody feels it is their right to make such a mean-spirited comment at something as superficial as well, and something that insults appearance, you have to give back as well.
And the problem is, Amira, I struggled with this a lot because I felt like, I can't do anything about it. One thing that I felt wasn't my control, and that also went a bit too far, and then I have to say I suffer from it until now. I had a family member who was always commenting. I think it was the age of like 14 or something like that, puberty age. So we were in the summer in Egypt, and every money I would get, I would go downstairs to the grocery store and buy candy. And apparently I gained a lot of weight. But anyway, so that family member would always say, oh my God, Rania, you're only eating candy. Oh, you're going to become so fat. Oh, you're going to become so obese. And that continued, Amira. So there am I, black, Bint Soda, the black girl, and the fat girl. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't control my color. And Amira, and that continued. I think I was 16 when I was doing my GCSEs. And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything about my color, but I'm going to do something about my weight. And Amira, I lost so much. I think I lost in less than a year, I lost 15 kgs. My grandmother was coming to attend my graduation from school, and she was like, I saw you standing there, and I looked at your mom. I'm like, yeah, tell me the news. She's sick, but just tell me. My mom's like, no, she's not. She's like,
that's too much pressure for at any age.
And I still have it until now, Amira. I still, one of my biggest fear about getting pregnant, oh my God, was gaining weight. I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept I was gaining weight, but it was normal. I was gaining weight. There was something growing inside me.
Of course.
And until today, anything I eat, I feel guilty. Anything.
It's not good at all.
It's not good. And I know it's not good. And my husband tells me, you need to get this out of your mind. But I felt that, okay, this is the only thing I can control. And here in the Netherlands, when we walk outside on the street with my husband, no one looks at us. No one cares. A white guy with a dark veil, no one cares. But in Egypt, oh my God, yes. Yeah, the worst thing that has happened was this summer when we were coming back from Cairo, flying back to Amsterdam. The security lady at the airport said to me, are these your girls? So I thought, lovely joke. So I laughed and joked back by saying, yes, can you believe I can make such beautiful girls? But she did not laugh.
Oh.
And then she looked at Zaina and she's like, is this your mother? And then Zaina was like, she was completely shocked. She's like, is this your mother? And then Zaina just looked at her and she ran to me and she said, Mama. I'm like, sorry? I'm like, you know the surprise? That handsome dude is my husband. I did good for myself, huh? And then Zaina, I was like, what the hell? And then Zaina said, Mama, why did she ask me if you were my mom? So I said aloud, I don't know, Zaina, you just look exactly like me, but maybe you have a different skin color. But yeah, obviously she doesn't see that.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, really, is it necessary to throw a comment like that, to give the insult, to say these things, and especially when you say that it leaves scars till up to today, as an adult woman, you still have the scars from when you're talking about something that happened when you were 16.
And until I got married, Amira, I had someone I know who said to me, So she knew in the beginning we were talking, and then we were dating. She's like, "Oh, this nothing's gonna come out of this. You should stop. You should cut it off." And then when we were going to get married, she's like, "Oh, well, I guess it must be about your personality then." You're like, "What the hell?"
Wow, thank you. That's very
Yeah,
kind.
yeah. And I mean, I'm not bitter about it,
Mhm.
but yeah, I would never want anyone to go through it.
No, and especially I'm sure it puts it in a different perspective now that you also have kids.
Yes,
It's something you would
yes,
never, it must hurt you so much, just the thought of your kids maybe having to go through what you've gone through.
yes. I have a cousin, Amira. So she had a guy who proposed to her. He was also from Aswan.
Mhm.
And her mother said, "Look at all your cousins. They're all marrying white guys, and they're going to have lighter skin colors, and your kids are going to remain black forever."
Yeah,
بالضبط. And yeah, they're healthy, alhamdulillah. And
again,
yeah,
saying it like it's a bad thing, say
it's a bad
throwing it
thing.
like it's an insult. It's
Yes,
what
yes, yeah,
do you think this can ever change? I mean, now, for example, with the recent events in the United States, for example, do you think this can spark something that could actually change this ignorance?
Look, I think yes, Egypt has changed a lot, but I think also Egypt has changed a lot in terms of education, and I think the younger generation are more are nicer to each other.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
and I think the younger generation, not necessarily because what's happening in the world at the moment, but I think in general, there is a better education, there is better awareness about
mm.
certain things, what is socially accepted and what is not socially accepted.
Right, right.
People are really starting to look into each other as an individual.
Mm,
And I think this racism will slowly, but Amira, Egypt is also a big country. Yeah, maybe I mean in the city like Cairo, yes, maybe these things would change, but no, but in the suburbs, no. It takes a lot of education and awareness. My aunt, for instance, she works. She was a gynecologist, and but now she works at the ministry,
mm,
and she does a lot of breath control awareness.
mm.
And she says, we don't need to do birth control awareness in big cities like Cairo or Alexandria. We need to go to the suburbs and those big cities who want to have 14 and 15 kids because
Yeah.
they want those kids to help them, for instance, on the field and so on. And these are the people who still look into بيضة وحلوة وشقرة, white and blonde and beautiful. And this will take time and time, and my aunt has been doing this for the past 15 years, and they're trying, of course, to tell them that 2 is enough, and they were like, "No, doctor, we need 5 because my cousin has 6." She's like, "Who cares?"
Okay. Yeah, it takes time.
In
I
the
think.
old generation, it was just normal. Also, honestly speaking, me as well, I always thought I would end up with an Egyptian guy, and and when I knew my husband, I'm like, that's a nice guy, I'm going to introduce him to my colleague. And my other friend was like, "Why don't you keep him?" I'm like, "Because he's not Egyptian." She's like, "And so?" I'm like,
Good
I don't know.
point. Mm.
Exactly. Because when I said to my parents that, okay, I met this guy and I want to marry him, and my mom was like, "No, no, why? No, you're never going to come back." I'm like, "You went to the UAE and you never went back to Egypt. Hello." So anyway, so she was like, "No, no, no." And she was like, to her, it was strange, it was different, it was unknown. So we rejected. So I told my dad, and I'm like, "Listen, your wife went a bit cuckoo, so maybe we should be more civilized here." So he was like, "Okay, let me think about it." Okay, that's a good start. So then a few weeks, I'm like, "So, Dad, I'm not too sure what you're thinking about because you haven't met the guy. So maybe you should meet the guy, and that gives you something." He's like, "Yeah, that's actually a good plan. Let him come and meet me." So my husband flew to Fujairah and he spent a week with my dad. And my dad was very, very honest. He said to my husband, "Listen, her mom went cuckoo, so I couldn't go cuckoo as well and take and say no." So I thought, okay, so I was thinking the whole 2 weeks of how to convince her that this will not work out. And I know Rania, if I say no, then she wants it even more. But when she suggested that you're willing to come and see me, I thought, awesome. He comes, I see him in person, and then I make a whole list of why this is not going to work and then try to convince her with it.
Okay.
And I see you, and the only thing that doesn't check the list that I thought I made for myself was that you were not an Egyptian. But who cares? Why do I want you to be an Egyptian?
Mm,
And he's like, but this is, you know, you're just so narrow-minded.
mm.
I have to say, it was very courageous of my dad. He's like,
Oh,
I
sure.
try to teach my kids not to be judgmental, and I was the most judgmental person. I just wanted to say no, but and I actually flew you in from the Netherlands to find reasons to say no.
But look how it worked out. And
Exactly. So
that's great. This is a parent who just wants the best for his child.
yeah,
And
alhamdulillah.
I think your beautiful family shows what families and what life should be like.
Yeah,
You know, you look at the people, not
yeah,
not not the color, not anything else. In general in life, it doesn't matter
yeah,
what you look like. It doesn't matter if you're big or tall or short, fat or skinny. It doesn't matter. It's the person that counts.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No, very, very true indeed.
do you feel different from like other Egyptians? Do you feel Egyptian?
No, I don't know. Amira, look, it's a very difficult question. I don't know, Amira, but no, no. I mean, if you want a white or a black answer, then it's no. I don't feel Egyptian. And honestly, before I moved to the Netherlands, I always thought Egypt was home. We live in the UAE. We go every summer to Egypt because Egypt is home. But then when I moved to the Netherlands, I realized, hey, stop. No, Egypt is not home. Actually, UAE is home.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I want to go home, I still think of my house in Fujairah. This is my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine every time I think, oh, if my dad retires and goes to Egypt, this is home to me. So I don't feel Egyptian in the sense of like when I sit with Egyptians, I don't feel we think the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still struggle with identity crisis, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the problem with the identity crisis that I'm going through, is because indeed I lived there all my life.
Mm-hmm.
But then for me, it was a very emotional moment when I couldn't renew my visa anymore. And then I was so upset. I was so upset and I was very emotional about it. I'm like, no, I need to renew my visa. I've lived here all my life and I was born here. And all of a sudden, and my dad was like, yeah, just cancel your visa. And whenever you need to come, I can ask for a visit visa. I'm not a visitor. And I was so emotional about it. But
Aw.
then, yeah, at the end of the day, you're not a citizen. But then I lived here for 5 years, and then I have the Dutch passport, but I don't feel Dutch. And even, I mean, to me, it's good to have Dutch. Okay, don't get me wrong, but it's good to have a European passport. I can go anywhere without a visa. But I don't feel Dutch. Even when they came to ask if I wanted to have the Dutch passport and I wanted to keep my Egyptian passport, I kept it. I wanted to be a dual nationality because I thought I need I need to I need an identity. I need to keep, because the Dutch also would not represent my identity. I'm not Dutch. I always say I'm a holder of a Dutch passport. I'm
Right.
not Dutch. I don't know, Amira. I still struggle with that. I don't know what I am.
You're a
I
hybrid. We're all a bunch of hybrids. I guess
Yeah,
this is the struggle when you kind of you have your culture or where your parents are from, then you have where you were brought up, and now for you there's a whole other culture. I
yeah. But
think
the problem is, where's home?
that's the question. But your answer is proof that home to you in a way can be a place that is not in your blood. It's a place that you have made your home because of
Yeah,
history, and that's why not.
it's my home, but I'm a guest. Because if my dad retires, we need to leave the home. So it's a house. It's not a home. I don't know.
That's actually a very good way of putting it. It's true.
Yeah. And then so my dad goes home, his home, back to Egypt.
Mm,
But again, I mean, I love Egypt and I love spending time there. But I always tell my mother, this is the house. This is not the home. I really don't know. I struggled also because I don't look Egyptian and where I'm from and so on. One of the things, Amira, I decided that this is my identity. You know what? Okay, fine. I don't know where I'm from. My looks don't give you where I'm from. I don't have a home. And one of the things that and maybe it was also a bit of a struggle in Europe. Should I keep my scarf? Should I remove my scarf? And one of the reasons why I decided to keep on my scarf is that's the only identity I feel I belong to, that I'm a Muslim. That's it.
okay.
So I decided that this is my identity. I don't know where I'm from. People don't know where I'm from. People actually give me, every time I'm being called from a different nationality, people sometimes scream words at me on the street. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but wallah, I don't understand what you're saying.
I would answer
So,
if I knew.
but so one of the things that I feel خلاص now it defines me as an identity is my scarf. And a lot of people say, don't you sometimes feel that you want to take it off? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You put on your socks, I put on my scarves.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this is خلاص. This is who I am. Yani, if you can't tell where I'm from, if my language is a bit, I don't sound totally Egyptian, and then خلاص, then define me as the girl with the scarf.
What kind of reactions do you get with the scarf in Egypt? Because it isn't, I feel like there are many people who have now decided to kind of take off the scarf.
There's a lot of people who decided to take it off. I mean, a lot of the people around me who I know who wore it before or after me have taken it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, there is discrimination against wearing a headscarf in Egypt, to which places you can go. Or sometimes they say,
yeah, I was shocked when I heard you say that because I had no idea.
Oh, yes.
I mean, so basically, they are using the fact that you wear a scarf as something against you.
Yes. You're not allowed to go to certain restaurants. And it's not even a club. It's a restaurant. And they're like, yeah, but we serve alcohol. Okay, so. Or they try to tell you, oh, can you wear it in a different way that doesn't show really it's a headscarf? Like, so you wear it to the back, or you wear a base cap, or so. There is. I mean, and then you think, really?
How strange.
Yeah.
And why or how?
And a lot of what I hear comments from other people is like, yeah, but they also don't want, I don't know how you translate this word into English. It's a bia. It's like it looks low class.
Yeah, low class.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the world that we live in where like the headscarf is kind of transformed into bia, into low class?
And you're talking about this in Egypt.
No, that's really shocking. It's very contradictory as well with where this is coming. I mean, if this was in Europe, it would still not be justified.
Yes.
But there you would
I've never had it here in a restaurant or anywhere that they would say, oh, but you're wearing a headscarf, you can't.
What is your conclusion about all of this?
See, not everybody is lucky, but I thank God that I'm not damaged. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of what happened to me. But what doesn't break you makes you stronger. I helped myself to grow out of it to become a stronger person. And there is no one better than anyone. And I really hope a lot of people would stop judging people, not only by skin color, but by their social class, by where they live, their postal code.
Mm-hmm. No, sure. That's true. Yeah. For sure. What makes you happy?
Knowing that my family, and which includes my husband and my kids, but also my parents, that they're safe.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Content, happy, and البنت السوداء and the black girl.
I'm proud of it. My God, you're
exactly
perfect the way you are. It's not even an issue. Everybody is beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
What advice would you give your younger self?
That I should have really stood up for myself more, and I shouldn't have been that insecure. Yeah, I should have accepted myself anymore. And I don't blame my parents, because I rolled up in myself because I thought I was ashamed of it. So yeah.
What motto do you live by?
Karma's a bitch.
I like that.
Yeah.
And finally, what are you proudest of?
Being, but this goes 2 ways. I've become a mini mother, my mini mom. Like I've become I've become a mini Amel. However, so funny, because growing up, I so did not want to become like my mother. And now, what I do, what I say, how I raise my kids, I've become. I'm a mini version of my mother, and I tell her I'm proud of it.
Rania, I met you when I was 5, and look at us now.
Exactly.
I think it's really cool that we have stayed in touch all these years. both face-to-face and virtually. I cannot thank you enough for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you about these really
Same
big
here.
and real issues. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody for watching as well. And
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Love you.
Ciao.
Bye.